The boy walked onto the America's Got Talent stage wearing borrowed shoes, shaking hands, and a smile that tried to hide years of struggle. No one in the room expected what was about to happen. When a Filipino boy opened his mouth to sing Hotel California, time froze, hearts stopped, and one voice changed his life forever. Before this story ends, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us that miracles still happen when talent meets destiny. The lights inside the America's Got Talent theater felt brighter than the sun had ever felt back home in his small town in the Philippines. For a moment, the young boy stood still at the center of the massive stage, staring at thousands of empty seats that would soon be filled with strangers who had no idea who he was or where he came from. His name was Miguel Santos, and he was only 11 years old, but his eyes carried the weight of someone who had lived far beyond his years. Miguel's journey to that stage began in a narrow alley near Manila, where tin roof houses leaned against each other like tired friends. His family lived in a single-room home where rainwater leaked through the ceiling during storms and electricity came and went like an unreliable promise. His father worked as a jeepney driver, earning barely enough to feed the family, while his mother sold homemade snacks outside a school gate. Music was never supposed to be part of Miguel's future. Survival was. But every night, when the noise of the city softened and the world slowed down, Miguel would sit near an old radio his father had rescued from a junk pile. The radio only worked when positioned at a strange angle, and even then, the sound crackled like firewood. Still, it was magic to Miguel. One night, while twisting the dial, he heard a song unlike anything he had ever heard before. A haunting guitar intro filled the room, followed by words he barely understood but somehow felt deep in his chest. Welcome to the Hotel California. Miguel didn't know what California was. He didn't know who the Eagles were. But the song stayed with him. He hummed it while helping his mother cook. He sang it softly while doing homework by candlelight. Over time, the words became clearer, the melody sharper, and something inside him clicked. The song felt like a story of escape, mystery, and longing. It felt like him. At school, Miguel was quiet. Other kids laughed at his worn clothes and cracked shoes. Teachers noticed he rarely spoke, but when music class came, something changed. One day, the music teacher asked if anyone wanted to sing. The room was silent. Miguel slowly raised his hand. When he started singing Hotel California, the class went completely still. The teacher dropped her pen. For the first time in his life, people weren't laughing at Miguel. They were listening. Word spread quickly. Videos recorded on old phones made their way online. One clip reached a Filipino-American talent scout who couldn't believe what he was hearing. A boy with no training, no accent coaching, no studio equipment was singing a legendary American rock song with soul, control, and emotion far beyond his age. Within months, Miguel's family received an email they thought was fake. America's Got Talent wanted him to audition. The night before the audition, Miguel couldn't sleep. His mother held his hands and told him that no matter what happened, she was already proud. His father didn't say much, but he pressed a small guitar pick into Miguel's palm. It was the only souvenir he had kept from his own childhood dream of becoming a musician. Miguel carried that pick all the way to America. When Miguel stepped onto the AGT stage, the judges smiled politely. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, curious but guarded. Howie Mandel looked friendly. Sofia Vergara leaned forward with interest. Heidi Klum smiled warmly. Miguel introduced himself in a soft voice, explaining that he came from the Philippines and that he loved classic rock music. Simon raised an eyebrow. Hotel California? Simon asked, clearly surprised. Yes, sir, Miguel replied. A few people in the audience chuckled. An 11-year-old boy singing one of the most iconic songs in American music history sounded risky. Some expected it to be cute. Others expected it to fail. Then the music started. From the very first line, something shifted in the room. Miguel didn't try to imitate the original singer. He didn't overdo it. He sang with restraint, control, and emotion that felt raw and honest. His voice carried a haunting quality, as if he understood the loneliness hidden inside the song. The audience leaned forward. Judges stopped taking notes. Even Simon's expression changed. Halfway through the song, Miguel closed his eyes. For a moment, he wasn't on a massive stage. He was back home, sitting near a broken radio, dreaming of a world beyond the alley. When he reached the chorus, his voice soared, filling the theater with power and vulnerability at the same time. People in the audience began wiping tears from their eyes. But the biggest twist came near the end. Instead of copying the original ending, Miguel added a subtle vocal run, something uniquely his own. It wasn't flashy. It was emotional. That moment made the performance unforgettable. When the final note faded, there was silence. Then the entire theater erupted. The audience stood on their feet, cheering, screaming, crying. The judges stood too. Sophia had tears in her eyes. Heidi placed her hand over her heart. Howie shook his head in disbelief. Simon Cowell remained seated for a second longer than the others. He looked at Miguel carefully, as if trying to understand what he had just witnessed. Then he stood up. Miguel waited for the comments, hands shaking, heart pounding. He expected praise. He didn't expect what came next. Simon spoke slowly. He said he had heard thousands of singers attempt classic songs and fail. He said it takes courage to choose a song like that, especially at such a young age. Then he paused. He told Miguel that his voice didn't just sound good, it told a story. A story of struggle, hope, and authenticity. And then Simon did something no one expected. He reached for the golden buzzer. The moment the golden confetti exploded from above, Miguel froze. He didn't understand at first. Then the crowd screamed louder than ever. His parents ran onto the stage, hugging him as gold rained down around them. Miguel cried openly, burying his face in his mother's shoulder. His father held him tight, tears streaming down his face. That moment changed everything. Backstage, producers whispered that this performance would be remembered for years. Clips of Miguel singing Hotel California went viral within hours. Millions watched. Comments poured in from around the world, especially from the United States, praising the boy's humility, talent, and emotional depth. Famous musicians shared the video. Even members of the Eagles reportedly took notice. But the journey didn't end with the golden buzzer. In the following weeks, Miguel faced new pressure. Critics questioned whether he could live up to the hype. Others accused the show of exaggeration. Miguel felt overwhelmed. He missed home. He missed simple nights with his family. Fame felt heavier than he expected. One night before a live show, Miguel considered quitting. He told his mother he was scared of disappointing everyone. She reminded him why he started singing in the first place. Not for fame, not for judges, but because music made him feel alive. When Miguel returned to the stage for the live rounds, he sang again, this time with even more confidence. He didn't win the entire competition, but it didn't matter. His life had already changed. Scholarships were offered. Music schools reached out. Opportunities opened that once seemed impossible. Years from now, people will remember the moment an 11-year-old Filipino boy stood on an American stage and sang Hotel California like he had lived every word. They will remember Simon Cowell pressing the golden buzzer. But most of all, they will remember the feeling. The reminder that talent knows no borders, no age, and no limits. Miguel's story is not just about music. It's about dreams traveling across oceans. It's about a voice rising from hardship and being heard by the world.